With some key milestones approaching for the healthcare reform law, Washington has been busy on a number of fronts. On Wednesday, Oklahoma Congressman James Lankford held a hearing on the security of private information, and the House voted to delay some major provisions of the law. Today, President Obama is praising the law's savings for people who buy health insurance. Here with more on the activity, our man in Washington, Chris Castile. And Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, glad to do it, Dave.
I hear the weather is sweltering out there.
Oh, it's steamy. I mean, you guys know all about it, but yeah, it's been a pretty brutal week here.
Well, speaking of hot action, we had big action in the House yesterday to delay major mandates in that bill. How did it go down, and what's next?
Well, so what the House did yesterday, mainly on a party line vote with the a couple of Republican bills, was vote to delay for 1 year the two major mandates in the bill. The individual mandate that's going to require everyone in 2014 who doesn't have health insurance to buy health insurance, the so-called individual mandate. And the other bill would delay for a year the employer mandate, which requires businesses that have 50 or more employees to either provide insurance for their employees or pay a fine. And the Obama administration had already delayed that employer mandate because nobody was really ready for it, but a lot of the House Republicans, the House Republican contention was, hey, it's a law. The president doesn't have the right to just waive that law for a year, so we need to pass this bill to do it. And it put kind of the Democrats in a tricky situation because, as I said, the president had already delayed that, but they still voted against it. But both bills passed, as I said, mainly with Republican votes to delay those mandates. The Republicans said, yeah, hey, it's not fair to waive the employer mandate but make individuals go ahead and comply with this. So let's delay them both. So they both passed the House, and of course, the House is controlled by Republicans, the Senate's controlled by Democrats. The administration's against both of these bills, and so they will probably never even be considered by the Senate. So they're probably dead. But the House Republicans wanted to make their point about that, and they did.
And that happened yesterday. I mentioned that Congressman James Lankford held a hearing on the security of private information. That hearing raised some questions about computer privacy with healthcare information. What are his concerns?
Well, that was an interesting hearing. I mean, that's pretty soon, starting October 1st, supposedly under the healthcare law, people are going to be able to go to these marketplaces, they're called exchanges, to look at various options for buying health insurance. Well, there are all kinds of components to that, and some of which involve the IRS, because if you're below a certain income, or if you're at certain income levels, you're going to be able to get taxpayer subsidies through the IRS to pay for this coverage. So what's going to happen is people are going to go online to sign up for these, to sign up to get into healthcare exchange and buy insurance, and have to enter all kinds of personal information. I mean, including all of your contact information, Social Security information, maybe even some things about your healthcare status. And then this so-called hub that's being set up by the government to kind of process all these applications is going to tap into databases at the federal government, the IRS database, Social Security database, all these storage bases for all this personal information. And the concern is that they're not ready to protect all this information. Now, you could have somebody create an account on there that has just an incredible amount, everything anybody would need to steal your identity or whatever, and it's going to be vulnerable. So, the administration tried to. There were officials from various agencies yesterday, including the IRS and Medicare and Medicaid, saying, "Look, we've been doing this for years. We've been protecting people's IRS information, been protecting people's Medicare, Medicaid enrollment information for years. We know how to do this. We're not creating new databases. We're just tapping into existing ones." But there were concerns from members of both parties that this is going to be vulnerable to hackers. That would just get a wealth of information immediately from it.
Well, I think it's a valid concern for a lot of us. Pardon my cough here. We all know when you log on to eBay or any sort of thing like that, and you have to start entering information, you get a little bit squeamish about it.
Yeah, sure you do. I mean, and I just don't think anybody really feels comfortable that no matter what assurances are made that this information is secure from hacking. Hackers get into everything, and Again, they tried to assure the Congress, look, we're not really creating new databases. We're just tapping into we're just kind of setting up a routing thing that will, when you enter information, it will go automatically to the IRS to see what your income really is. You don't have to enter it. But as Lankford pointed out, look, when you create an account on here with all of your information, that is going to be stored. So it's a little bit disingenuous to say there's not going to be any information stored in this new hub thing, because you're creating these accounts that has all this information. So really, I mean, it's just I think it's going to be an ongoing concern. I'm
sure it will, but of course technology makes perfect sense for something like this instead of a ton of paperwork.
Sure.
It's just the security issues. We talk about hackers, but just the other day I was sending out apparently tweets to people with discounts. Who knew? Hacking happens all the time.
I'm sorry I didn't get one of those.
No, you're not. Chris, I'll get you out of here on this question. The president is touting rebates from insurance companies. What's he referring to?
Well, that's right. He is going to be talking today about another provision that we haven't discussed today about the health care law, which is it requires health insurance companies to spend 80 to 85% of the money that they collect in premiums for that insurance back into paying claims or in some kind of improvements. And according to the president in the last year, that provision alone has required insurance companies to refund about $500 million to consumers to get in compliance with that ratio, the 80 to 85%. And including, I think the number for Oklahoma in 2012 is like $16 million in rebates, refunds to them. So I think he's also going to be talking about how the law, has already brought premiums down in some states. So, in the midst of all this activity, on the Hill to kind of discredit and dismantle the health care reform law, he's going to get out and talk about the positive aspects of it. We're getting close. It's, just weeks away, really, October 1st, before people can supposedly start signing into these healthcare exchanges. And in 2014, the individual mandate kicks in. So it's not far away.
A busy week in Washington, indeed. Chris, thanks for your time this morning, and enjoy that weekend that's coming up. Try to stay cool.
Try.
Stay cool on the subway. All right, more coverage from our man in Washington, Chris Castile, can be found in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com.